Look, I think in the spring it was pretty tough for some areas more than others, and I think looking at the farmers, some farmers felt were kind of cautious because they may not have been affected as much as other farmers, so they're trying to show that empathy or support to those farmers that were affected seriously by the floods. But then going forward, I think at that time when everything was so wet, I think most farmers were feeling pretty depressed, and it was, a hard slog working day in, day out through those muddy, wet, cold conditions. But you're looking now, and we're starting to touch base with some farmers again, and they're kind of saying it probably wasn't quite as bad as they first thought for some of them, and looking now at they're starting to pull things together and starting to get some summer crop going, and so thinking it's probably not too bad. They're working their way through it, and we're probably, some of those, we work with some groups around discussion groups, and so they're using that as a means of supporting each other. So I reckon through that October, November, most of the groups were catching up, not for a technical delivery of any sort. It was more just that social connection of touching base with their neighbours and making sure everyone was okay, which was really good. We found that those, when you're starting to talk it out loud, it did make it a lot easier for some to then be able to cope that they weren't alone. I think most farmers, sometimes you get stuck on your own four fence posts, like you're on your own farm, and not able to get off, but by getting off and talking to others and hearing that, gee, well, I'm not the only one that's having a bit of a hard time struggling with the wet weather or the conditions, I think it gave them a sort of bit of relief and a sense of, okay, it's okay, I'm not on my own. We're starting to build some programs around taking stock for farmers to be able to use that, to be able to, with a consultant, to be able to put some plans together for their autumn, spring, summer, what they need to do for the next 12 months. Because like most serious weather impacts, it's not just a here and now moment, it does last for a longer period. So it always seems to be a 12-month process. And I think, like anything, once you've got a plan, some strategies, it makes life a lot easier for each of the farmers.